Hari Om. Start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the 10th chapter of Panchadashi and it is called Nataka Deepa Prakaranam, and it is of the last of the second 5 chapters. That is, first 5 chapters deal with the Sat aspect of it, and second 5 chapters starting from 6 to this 10th chapter deals with the Deepa Prakaranam, with the consciousness, Chitta aspect of it. And we'll see from the 11th to 15 it deals with the Ananda aspect of it. So the first one is Tattva Prakaranam, which is essentially related to the Sat aspect, and this is Deepa Prakaranam related to Chitta aspect, and the next one will be Ananda Prakaranam, which is the next set of 5 the chapters. This is the last of the Deepa Prakaranam. So he's giving a summary of what exactly is the consciousness. Consciousness is that, and which is all pervading, that is Satchidanandam, and that cannot be known or need not be known also, because being infinite there is nothing other than pure consciousness. So therefore no word can reach there, and neither mind can conceptualize, because it's not something to it's not a concept, also it is infinite. Therefore whatever one need to know can only be finite things, but using the finite I had to see what is that because of which any finite exists. So the mind has to use what you call viveka. Viveka means a discriminative intellect to see the adhishthanam. Adhishthanam is that which supports the whole universe, and that is Jagat is continuously changing, and if something is changing there has to be changeless entity which has to be conserved in the changing things. That's law of conservation. In any equation, we say A plus B becomes C plus D. Something has to be conserved in that equation, and that's what is called balancing the equation, because number of hydrogen atoms on this side should be matching the number of hydrogen atoms on the other side. Otherwise we are losing some hydrogen or gaining excess hydrogen. Matter can neither be gained or we can lose it. Therefore there is a conservation of matter. That is the principle for balancing, so-called balancing the equation. Balancing has to be done from the point of either the matter, that is the mass, also from the point of energy, because both are conserved. Well, science subscribes for this law of conservation. Krishna extends this law to absolute level, and this is done in the Gita itself. It says, Nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate sataha. This is in the 2nd chapter, 16th mantra, the 16th sloka. It says, Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadipaha nasaiva nabhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. There was never a time I was not there, never a time you were not there, never a time all these kings. That means there is a conservation of something, and that is the self, and that self is not divisible because it's infinite. Therefore it's only apparently I am in this form, in that form, and so on. And from the point of self which exists, that existence itself is the nature of the reality. That's why we have Sat Eva Idamagramasid. Existence alone was there before creation, and that existence can never cease to exist. So that's what Krishna's statement is. Says that which is always there and can never get annihilated, because it has to exist. So nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo na abhavaha vidyate sataha, na abhavaha vidyate sataha, sataha the sat. So na abhavaha, that means the absence of the sat can never be known or cannot be established. Whereas the nasato vidyate, non-existence cannot come into existence. So that means matter can neither be created nor destroyed, or sat, existence can never be created nor destroyed. Matter can be created and destroyed as we go to waking state, to dream state, and to deep sleep state. So the Vedanta looks into not only just at the objective level that objective scientists are looking. It looks from the point of absolute that includes both the subject and the object. And that's how Krishna starts the Gita lessons. He says you are crying because you are thinking the matter is going to get destroyed. Because the Guru Nahatvan Mahanubhava, this is how can I kill these people? Because we are talking about the body, and Krishna says Nahanyate Hanyamane Sharire. Even if kill the body, the soul cannot be killed, because it is eternal, ever present. So you cannot destroy. Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam tahati pavakaha. So nachainam chadayanto. So you cannot either cut it or wet it or dry it, because it is not of an objective nature. It is something beyond. And that's how Krishna starts the highest philosophy in the second chapter itself. And that is the Sakshi, which is all pervading. Then who am I? And if that is being Brahman, I cannot be separate from that, because if I am separate Brahman, then Brahman cannot be Brahman. Like I am separating from infinity, then infinity cannot be infinity. Infinity becomes a finite. So being infinite, everything has to be infinite only. Therefore, everything in the universe itself has to be in Brahman and by Brahman, and they come from Brahman, exist by Brahman, and go back into Brahman. That's how Upanishad defines Yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayamta visham vishanti. That is from the Taittiriya Upanishad, from which the whole universe came, by which it is sustained, and into which it goes back. That is Brahman. So the whole universe has to be in Brahman. At the same time, Brahman cannot have universe. So how come you are contradicting yourself? It's not a contradiction, because it is from the ontological status. Ontological status means the degree of reality is different. Brahman being infinite, it cannot have any parts, there cannot be any creation, there cannot be any sustenance, there cannot be any annihilation from Brahman point. So if I am seeing creation, this is all apparent at the level of Vyavaharika Satyam. So one has to be careful from what reference state we are talking about. And this Vyavaharika Satyam cannot be separate from the Brahman also. So Brahman is Adhishtanam. Adhishtanam means substantive. It is the Adhara. That's what Krishna said. He says there is never a time, or you cannot eliminate the existence, because existence is the very support for the universe. So here the Sakshi is all pervading, but Sakshi being a light of consciousness, that's how because it illumines, and I can know only in the light. So only when the light shines on it, I can see the objects. Same way, when consciousness as though illumines, then I can see the object. I can see outside light also because I am conscious of it. If I am unconscious, you can bring 1,000 light, nothing will happen. I won't know. So to recognize the presence of sunlight or even the sun or any light, I should be alive. Means I should be a conscious entity. So when alive means not only I am awake, I am conscious of objects outside. So objects outside are being, because I am conscious when I say, and consciousness is Brahman. How can I be Brahman being a localized entity? Therefore, our understanding should be consciousness is infinite. At the same time, it illumines as though the body, subtle body, which is the buddhi, and buddhi has a capacity to reflect the light, just as the mirror has a capacity to reflect. Whereas a stone doesn't have the capacity to reflect like a mirror. It reflects, but it doesn't it's not like a mirror. Therefore, the buddhi being reflecting, it as though appears as a conscious entity, or just as moon reflecting sunlight appears as though as a luminous entity. The same way buddhi is a conscious entity, appears, and when I say I am what? I know this, I am using a buddhi, activated buddhi, or buddhi that has become borrowed consciousness, you can say, or reflected consciousness or borrowed consciousness. So consciousness coming from, not from buddhi, from the totality only. When I say I am conscious entity, although I am using a buddhi to make a statement, the consciousness part is not coming from the buddhi, from the point of all-pervading consciousness. Even though I am all-pervading consciousness, I identify myself, I am the buddhi only. So when I say I am conscious, I am talking about only buddhi, not pure consciousness. So it is the buddhi that is dancing in the world. Whole drama is here, natakam. My buddhi is different from your buddhi, is different from her buddhi, and different from his buddhi. So buddhi is an instrument which is localized equipment, and buddhi cannot exist independent of the body. You can say the brain can exist. You can go to the laboratory and say this is Einstein's brain or this is somebody's brain. But brain is not a conscious entity. Brain becomes activated conscious entity only it has a capacity to reflect. It has a capacity to reflect words provided there is a subtle material, not the gross, the cells of brain. It has to be subtle material, has to be there. In the dead body, brain is there, but the subtle body has left. It has left where? To another loka, or to find another body where it can experience another set of vasanas. So it is the buddhi that is traveling, it is the buddhi that uses the sense organs to find out what is this object. All the objective knowledge occurs through bahihi, means buddhi as though goes out and along with this grasp the object, and that's how the vritti comes, because of the objective. And when it grasps the object, formation of the vritti, that is called vritti vyapti, spontaneously, simultaneously, that I know vritti, I am the knower of this vritti. So because I am illumining that vritti and getting reflected, and that becomes a knowledge, and ownership of the knowledge spontaneously rises, and that's called aham vritti. That idam vritti, aham vritti. Aham vritti is occurring inside in the brain. Idam vritti is due to outside object out there, even though in the brain only. But as we said, according to the Mimamsa position which Advaita follows, is the mind goes out and grasps the object. So therefore we call it bahihi, antar and vrittis. So we will read mantra sloka 20. Nabhakyo nantara sakshi, nabhakyo nantara sakshi, Buddhe deshau hita ubhau, buddhe deshau hita ubhau, buddhyad jasesha samshantau, buddhyad jasesha samshantau, yatra bhatyasti tatra saha, yatra bhatyasti tatra saha. Together. Nabahyo nantara sakshi, buddhe deshau hita ubhau, buddhyad jasesha samshantau, yatra bhasyasti tatra saha. So sakshi, na bahya, na antaraha, neither inside nor outside. So who is outside, inside? It's only with respect to buddhi. With respect to the buddhi is the intellect only. And this antara, inside, outside, is only with reference to body wise. So with reference to body, the buddhi is going out. When you say outside, it is going out along with the senses that can only grasp the outside object. Senses cannot grasp inside the object. So I cannot see my guts or my lungs and all that, because it cannot go inside the body. Senses can only see, eyes can only see objects outside, and the nose can only smell things outside. Thank God, because I cannot smell myself otherwise. So that whatever that is really out, indriyas can only grasp the object out there. So nabhakyaha na antaraha sakshi, neither it can go nor can come inside from the point of buddhi. Sakshi is being all pervading, so it illumines wherever the subtle body is there, it illumines. And that part of pure consciousness that is falling on the local buddhi, we call it a sakshi. And that part of the buddhi falling in the buddhis or the sakshi for that buddhi. And nabhakyaha na antaraha sakshi, buddhe deshauhi ta ubhau. So it is with reference to the buddhi only, the ubhau means inside, outside only, with reference to deshau, with reference to the space wise is related to the concept in the buddhi itself. Buddhyad jasesha samshanto. So asesha total, buddhi of the intellect, buddhi or the asesha in total, samshanto when absorbed, when they all go into deep sleep state. So when you're talking about, why do you say the space is in concept of intellect? So we have a space-time and analysis being done, and we use a relativity theory of Einstein. So here you can see how Vedanta differs from Einsteinian definition, and this statement is coming from even by Vidyaranya. Vidyaranya is a founder of the Vijayanagara Empire. We are talking about in the 13th century, or 12th, 13th century. In that, it started to fight against the Muslim invasions. He started a Hindu kingdom, Vijayanagara Empire, and it flourished so much during the Krishnadevaraya time. So this concept of space and time, here it is its concept, the space is a concept of intellect. Whereas Einstein, what was the definition of space? He gives a space and time are relative, and gives a definition of time as the gap between two sequential observations. That's what is a time is. So time is a gap between two sequential observations. So if I say tak tak, so those are the two sequence, and a gap between them, it defines the time. And the space is defined as, it is the gap between two simultaneous observations. This is a scientific definition. So if I am seeing a space between these two objects, there are two objects there, and I say there is a space between them. Space in fact is defined now because I am seeing two objects simultaneously. not sequentially. So if sequentially it is in the same space, I can see other object. So in order to define space, I need 2 points, and in fact I need 2 eyes also to define that gap between the 2 eyes. Because of 2 eyes I can see 3-dimensional also, 3rd dimension of the space. Now space and time, according to the Einsteinian definition, is that it's a gap between 2 sequential observations is a time, and gap between 2 simultaneous observations is the space. But when he said like that, there has to be an observer observing 2 sequential points for a time or 2 simultaneous points for a space. So it is the observer's mind is required, at least that much we know, that it is not, because these 2 sequential points will not know that there is a space. You need a conscious entity to say there is a space and there is a time. Conscious entity expresses only through the buddhi. So therefore you have to have an intellect to say that there is a gap between 2 sequential points is a time, gap between 2 simultaneous observations is a space. So therefore the buddhi is required, and buddhi, therefore it is an observer is essential. So from the observer point, from the buddhi point, this is called experience. So how you define time and how you define, once you bring in consciousness, Einsteinians, the tools are not valid because it cannot analyze the consciousness. They think that consciousness came after Big Bang, all that. Whereas consciousness has to be there to know that there is a Big Bang. In fact, where did the Big Bang occur? That's always a question. You cannot say Big Bang occurred in some space. That means space was there already. But you can only say Big Bang occurred everywhere, even though everywhere is a concept of space. Factually, Big Bang occurred wherever there is an observer analyzing the Big Bang, because it needs a conscious entity. How did he arrive that? Because the galaxies are moving faster and faster from the point of his reference, and therefore if you interpolate backwards and it meets a point, that's where the Big Bang occurred. That's where all the galaxies are collapsing, and that's where the Big Bang occurred. And that Big Bang collapsing occurs where the fellow is extrapolating, and wherever he is sitting there and extrapolating, that's the point of Big Bang. And the space arises when there is a separation between the particles. That means when after bang, the particles are getting separated, and 1/1,000,000th of a second or time and space both are arising together with the Big Bang. That's why it's called, in the mathematics, it's called a singularity. You cannot ask the question, therefore, where did the bang occur? When did the bang occur? Because when and where are concept of time and space also. You can say after Big Bang, so many millions of light years, so many light years, or not light years of the distance, so many billions of years ago, you can say for the time, and for the space it is a billions of light years also. So for me, if you look at the Hubble telescope, there is a news that the new galaxies are forming now in billions and billions light years away. 1 light year is a distance that light takes to travel for 1 year. It's called 1 light year. So billions and billions of light years distance, the new galaxies are forming. It's not that they are forming now, they formed billions of years ago, but the light that started there is coming to me now. Whereas if I am sitting in there, they will see that, because the light from this galaxy will be reaching there now, therefore they think that we are forming now. So all that is only too relative, complex, too complex. So when I look at the sky, I'm not looking at the present, I'm looking only the past, because it takes at least the closest star is 4 light years away. That means the 4 light years star, what was there, now I am seeing it. To see the current position of the star, I have to wait for 4 years. That's what essentially it means. But anyway, we are going off the track. So both are concepts of an observer is required in order to recognize the space and time. And that's what essentially the sloka is. And that is in fact what the Vidyaranya mentioned in close to 13th century. This is a concept of buddhi only, not real, or whatever you see is the reality is not really established just because I am observing or I am measuring and so on and so forth. Let's look at the sloka here. Nabhakyo nantara sakshi buddhi desauhita ubhau buddhya jasesha samshantau. So when the buddhi itself is folded, now what about the world? The world is there only because buddhi is there. Because I am able to see, therefore I say the world is. If I don't see, then world is there or not becomes indeterminate. Means I cannot say it is there, I cannot say it is not there because I don't see. That's why we gave example, in a pitch dark room, if you ask me, is there a chair there? I say, I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Because I don't see. Therefore, I don't know whether chair exists or not. It may be there or it may not be there. So the probability of the existence of a chair or its non-existence is 50%. Why? Because I cannot see. So if I am not there, suppose you turn the light on, then I can see what? That the chair has become, the probability has now become 100%. It became a deterministic knowledge. Suppose I am not there and you turn the light on. Chair may be there, but I won't know the chair is there or not. Say now, hey, we turned the light on there in that room. Can you tell now whether chair is there or not? Says, I don't know, because I am not there to see it. So I have to be there to recognize the presence or the absence of the chair. But how come I am there? I am there all the time. I cannot negate myself. To negate myself, I have to be there. So therefore it says, buddhyat asesha samshantau. So this, when the buddhi goes into deep sleep state, I am going from a waking state and a dream state. When I go to deep sleep state, asesha samshantau, when everything is folded, that means not only the buddhi, not only the intellect, so senses are folded, therefore my perception of the world is also folded. When there is no world, there is no space and time too. That's what he will tell. Buddhyad asesha samshantau yatra bhasyasti tatra saha. But in the absence of space and time, I am there, because I say in the deep sleep state, even though I do not have the intellect to claim that I was there in that state, I can recollect that experience there. Experience of what? Experience of the lack of the whole world, and therefore I can claim that I am there. So therefore I say I slept very well. That means I was there to sleep very well. So therefore he says, buddhyat asesha samshantau. When buddhi is folded, including buddhi, everything else is folded. So I've gone to deep sleep state, and therefore no objects of any kind, including the buddhi also, I do not know. I am not conscious of the buddhi also. But at the same time, there is a recording of the absence of the buddhi. Therefore, there is a subtle aspect is still there. So buddhyad asesha samshantau yatra bhasyasti tatra saha. So therefore, that yatra bhati, whatever illumines there, whatever illumines himself, tatra asti, it is there, because I know I slept very well. So how do I know I slept very well? Because I have the knowledge of sleeping very well. That means I was there. I was there means who is that I that was there? It's a Jiva illumined by Sakshi. How is Jiva there? As what you call Karana Sharira, causal body. The causal body, that's called Anandamaya Kosha, it is there, and that is illumined by the Sakshi. Therefore there is a Sakshi illumining the Karana Sharira. But the Karana Sharira is there as what? As nothing but absence of subject-object duality. So therefore, Mandukya Upanishad says, Na kanchana kamam kamayata. So what is there in the deep sleep state? I have no desire for any objects there because I cannot see any object. And I don't have the lack of the feeling of the lack of also in my mind, because the mind itself is folded. So I may have so many desires in the waking state, so many desires in the dream state, but I have no desires in the deep sleep state. All there is I am constant ignorance. I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. So the experience of deep sleep state is, number one, I slept very well. Number two, I don't know anything because there is no duality of any kind. Therefore, there is no space also. Why? Space is defined as the gap between 2 points, simultaneous observation. There is no observer and observation in terms of the spatial particles, because there is no eyes are not there. So eyes has to be there. And I see space in my dream also. So there also there are eyes also. I said because I am ekona vimshati mukhaha. So I have a sight even in the dream state too. Ekona vimsha means 1 less than 20. 1 less than 20 gateways to interact the world outside. So all that is implied, and therefore, yes, in the deep sleep state, I have no spatial concept or the time concept, but I am there. That is what I say. I slept very well. If I am not going to be there in the deep sleep state, then I am not going to sleep at all. Nobody sleeps if they think that they are not going to be there, because they are assured by their experience that they are going to be there and get up in the morning, in fact relaxing, everybody will be there. So I have absence of space-time, absence of objects, or subject-object relationship, and also I know I exist, the existence aspect. And the third aspect or fourth aspect is I know I am happy there because there is no duality of any kind. So any duality contributes to problem. Therefore Advaita is a state where there is the absence of duality, because I am alone there. I slept very well. I don't see anybody. So therefore it is constant Ananda. That's why it's called Anandamaya Kosha in the deep sleep state. So here he is saying whether the presence of the buddhi or the absence of the buddhi, both are illumined by the consciousness Sakshi, and Sakshi therefore was not limited by the space-wise, time-wise. So it illumines the space and it illumines the absence of space, and it illumines the time, it illumines the absence of time also. And that is the nature of Sakshi that I am. We'll go into the next sloka afterwards. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.